2025 feels like the first time the PS5 has truly hit its stride. This year delivered a lineup packed with ambitious sequels, long-awaited passion projects, surprise indie gems, and technical showcases that push Sony's hardware to the limit. From genre-defining horror to inventive RPGs, from cinematic blockbusters to surprise remakes, 2025 offered a little bit of everything, and a whole lot of reasons to keep your DualSense charged and ready to burn the midnight hours away. With that said, the nominees for the best PS5 games of 2025 are Lost Soul Aside. What originally began as a one-man tech demo eventually blossomed into a competent action RPG with revengeance-like combat and tons of style to spare. You're not alone in thinking it looks a little bit Final Fantasy given the crystal theming and the character design. But still, Lost Soul Aside carves its own identity with its combo-laden combat and various boss mechanics. The game may have some growing pains as a debut indie effort, especially in its story, but the kernels of greatness are there in its gameplay systems. The Midnight Walk. If you're looking for a short but sweet adventure game with some uncanny claymation visuals, it's impossible to not recommend The Midnight Walk. What stuck with me as I reviewed the game was the strong atmosphere created by inventive environments, Burton-esque character designs, and a stirring musical score. It's a game with a remarkably strong sense of place, and the experience lingers long after you've completed it. And for horror fans, there is plenty to enjoy too. The stealth sections are legitimately nightmarish despite the game's demure appearance. Dying Light: The Beast. You don't need to have played any other Dying Light to have had fun with this one. This standalone entry flips the bright, colorful world design of Dying Light 2 on its head with an all-new wooded region infested with infected zombies. In short, it nails the horror vibe that fans have been begging for since the first game. Kyle Crane returns with new beast powers that feel great to use on the horrific denizens of Castor Woods, and the skill tree is the best the franchise has seen to date. Hollow Knight: Silksong. Hollow Knight: Silksong finally came out this year, and it's been well worth the long wait. It earns the perfect 10 that we gave it due to its exhilarating boss fights and fun platforming. The level design and progression system adds tons of replayability and substance to the game as well, providing well over 30 hours of tough-as-nails content for fans to enjoy. Even newcomers will find plenty to appreciate through the lush soundtrack and charming hand-drawn art style. Where Winds Meet. Free-to-play games have come a long way in offering top-tier experiences without requiring players to spend a dime, and Where Winds Meet might be the most impressive leap yet. The sheer abundance of genres that it fuses together is remarkable. You're getting a vast, gorgeous open world with a meaty single-player campaign, tons of boss battles, minigames, and immersive sim mechanics. If you've ever wanted to explore 10th century China with some side quests reminiscent of The Witcher 3, and you don't mind a mostly non-invasive free-to-play structure plus a few glitches, Where Winds Meet delivers in spades. Blue Prince. Blue Prince is easily in the discussion for best puzzle game of the year. Heck, it's arguably one of the best roguelikes of the year as well, especially since it got me, a roguelike denier, to enjoy it. What I love is how simple it is to jump in and immediately understand. You explore a mansion with randomly generated rooms, with the twist being that you're the one choosing which rooms gets drawn. The goal is to unlock and enter the mysterious 46th room by selecting the right rooms and solving puzzles along the way. Do not sleep on Blue Prince. Even if you're not a fan of puzzle games or roguelikes, its deceptive simplicity has a way of hooking you. Death Stranding 2: On the Beach. The original Death Stranding was an amazing game, but it had noticeable issues. Then came the director's cut, and it added some new content which really made an already great game even better. But Kojima has learned his lesson, and after working on the sequel for more than 5 years, we finally got Death Stranding 2: On the Beach back in June, and by all accounts, this is a stellar achievement. Featuring exceptional gameplay that takes the Strand mechanics to newer heights, a story that will capture your attention, and visuals that will stun you. This sequel has all of the makings of a game of the year. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Clair Obscur is a turn-based RPG that lets players time parries and manually aim for enemy weak points. This real-time element really adds a lot of dynamism to the classic turn-based formula, complemented by a variety of enemy types to strategize against. Besides the remarkable combat, genre-specific staples such as a story and progression are also exceptional. The cast of characters grapple with mortality and grief throughout the adventure in earnest and thought-provoking ways. You just can't help but want to solve their ever-dwindling lifespan dilemma the paintress has concocted. Turn-based RPG fans are eating well this year thanks to Clair Obscur's stellar story and gameplay. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 expands the grounded medieval immersive sim elements to the first game into a masterful AAA-like experience. You can still get knocked out by common bandits late in the game, but the combat is tuned to be more fun and intuitive. The world design is breathtaking, with the realism of towns like Troskowitz and the bustling Kuttenberg leaving my jaw on the floor. But it's the story and side quests where the game truly shines. With enhanced cinematography, stellar voice acting, and historically accurate details, KCD2 is as much a narrative powerhouse as it is a medieval simulation. Silent Hill F. Capturing the essence of the best Silent Hill games is not easy. There's a lot of subtle detail involved, and despite its change in location, Silent Hill F has that essence down. In fact, the rural Japanese town nails that Silent Hill feel perfectly. The environments are grade A spooky, with that characteristic fog enveloping looming threats in ways that feel natural for the rural countryside. Combat is spicier than usual, encouraging you to engage enemies rather than simply retreating. If the monster designs do not scare you, the camera work and music probably will. There's just a lot to love with the new Silent Hill, and thankfully, there's 5 endings to elongate the playtime as much as you want. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. MGS Delta is arguably the ideal remake. The one-to-one cutscenes, 4K visuals, and quality-of-life features make this the best way to play Metal Gear Solid 3 today. But what impresses me even more than the way the rising sun glints off of Snake's visor in that opening scene is the new stuff sprinkled in. Snake's wear and tear over the course of the game is shown through dynamic cosmetic scraps and clothing rips. There's also the ability to crouch walk, finally, and an over-the-shoulder perspective, adding some much-wanted gameplay features to this classic. This remake really has it all. Ghost of Yotei. If you've played Ghost of Tsushima, you know what to expect with Ghost of Yotei, yet the game still manages to surprise and impress. The instant load times and silky smooth frame rates are particularly impressive. Being built solely with the PS5 in mind allows the game to run flawlessly and then some. The open world here is one of the most beautiful we've seen in a game, thanks in part to sweeping draw distances not detracting from foreground detail. Story-wise, the Yotei 6 serve as a fun, motivating target throughout the story due to how well the narrative frames their actions. Ghost of Yotei is the premier PS5 showcase game at the moment, and it doesn't look like it's being supplanted anytime soon. Days Gone Remastered. Sure, Sony Bend hasn't added much new story content to Days Gone in this remaster, but the current gen tech has given the game a much needed boost. It finally feels like it's living up to its potential, story aside. Fighting through hundreds of freaker zombies is super smooth in this remaster, with the game very rarely dipping below 60 FPS in such chaotic moments. The result is a dynamic open-world zombie game with fun combat similar to The Last of Us. If you can tolerate Deacon talking to himself every 5 minutes, Days Gone Remastered will put you in zombie madness for many hours to come. Cronos: The New Dawn. Bloober Team has been knocking it out of the park with survival horror lately. Between Silent Hill 2, the remake, and Cronos, they're capturing what makes the genre so compelling. Cronos has the atmosphere so tense that it actively rattles you into missing your shots. The claustrophobic journey is made more limiting by the traveler's, that's you, slow traversal speed. Every bullet is prized in this game, and you'll be seeing the game over screen quite a bit, but it is all worth it to experience the unconventional Polish setting and tight gameplay. Sword of the Sea. Sword of the Sea is an instantly inviting experience. The colorful art style, mesmerizing soundtrack, and seamlessly smooth control scheme are as intuitive and irresistible as it gets in gaming. It's a journey as magnetic as, well, their previous game, The Pathless. Despite minor performance issues, even on the PS5, Sword of the Sea flawlessly delivers on what the studio does best, and that's something to celebrate. Stalker 2: Heart of Chornobyl. Stalker 2 is finally out on PS5, and what a port it is. PlayStation users get to experience the exclusion zone and all of its bizarre anomalies and creatures with smooth performance and impressive visual fidelity. The DualSense haptics shine here, enhancing the act of probing for anomalies with immersive rumble and trigger resistance. Stalker 2's strong horror atmosphere blends with compelling immersive sim gameplay to create an unforgettable experience, made even more personal via PS5 exclusive features. And the best PS5 game of 2025 goes to Death Stranding 2 on the beach. I don't know how he did it, but Kojima actually managed to make a game even more zany and compelling than the first Death Stranding. The sequel has so many iconic moments, it's hard to know where to begin. Characters have more fleshed out backstories and quirks in general, which makes sense given the Hollywood talent Kojima brought along for this sequel. But the game does far more than expand its story and presentation. The delivery sim aspects also see tremendous improvement. Those jaw-dropping moments stumbling atop a cliffside overlooking a gorgeous vista are alive and well, and even more striking thanks to the new day and night cycle. Weather plays a massive role too. Earthquakes, dust devils, downpours, sandstorms, you name it, appear while trekking across the brand new Mexico and Australia environments. There is no denying it. Death Stranding 2 is a premier PS5 experience that embodies everything PlayStation strives for in its first-party titles. It's our best PS5 game of 2025 and one of the greatest first-party games PlayStation has ever had. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.